read my lips. That's all you got to do, okay?
I can do that.
All right, good. How's that now? Is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
I'm still...
Yeah, he needs to be turned up a little bit. But anyways, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Limbwalkers podcast. I'm Jim Deedlow. I just kind of sit here and move it along. This is really about the life and times of Will Glaros.
Is that what it is?
I think it is.
Life and times. Okay.
I think it is, man. I think he's
is.
had so much experience.
Yeah.
And it's getting kind of weird that I'm actually listening to some of it and instituting some of the processes that he's put forward. Will Glaros has been around a little while. Limbwalkers is what? Explain.
Limbwalkers is basically your life, or my life, or Jim's life, because we all start out hanging on to the base of the tree, afraid to make steps outside of that tree base. And if you're willing to go out on the limb, as the old statement goes, you'll be able to taste the fruit. But if you don't, you can still have a good life, but it isn't as tasty as it is when you get out there and make some tries and fail and win and enjoy life.
Got a special guest today. Who is it? You get to introduce your own. You get to introduce
You
your
threw
own
me off
daughter.
on that one.
Here's why. I'll tell you why. Because people turn the podcast on, and if you just screw around for like 4 minutes, they're like, click. So let's get right to it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get right to it.
Go.
Our special guest today on Limbwalkers is the truth bearer.
The truth bearer.
The truth bearer, because she can validate how and why some of the things that I preach about and talk about as life experiences are real. Is this the real Will Glaros? And I think I can't find any better than, and if I could have had him here today, I'd have both of my kids here. But Matt's gone somewhere, and I've got today the thrill of introducing my daughter, Megan Glaros, who you probably all remember from Channel 2, CBS.
2, 7, 10, 9, all of them through my years.
So we've got the truth bearer here today. So I'm going to turn it over to Jim to kind of validate my comments.
First of all, he made it sound like, Matt couldn't be here, so we were stuck with like
Megan,
lukewarm porridge or something like that.
Well, I didn't say I'm a radio commentator. I'm just a talker.
Thanks for coming in. By the way, how's it feel to have a mic on again?
Good. I still do it for work, like little content things and stuff like that, and that's always my favorite part.
Do you miss being on the news every night?
No.
Or in the morning? Because
No.
I was under the impression you woke up at like 1:40.
Yeah, I did. It was like I think it was a 2:07 wake up call because I had to be into the city, get ready. The show started at 4:30. But for me, I miss like performing. I miss the performing side of it. I do not miss.
Can you turn him up a little bit there, Adriana? And then, no, not his mic, his ears. There you go. So let's go back to it. Can you hear now?
I can hear.
All right.
There
Sorry
you go.
about that.
I thought I was just getting a little older. Maybe I wasn't hearing as well.
Your ears are all right.
Yeah, they are.
Megan Glaros. So you used to wake up at 2:07, drive up to Dan Ryan, and you were on the air at 4:30 sharp and doing the first weathercast. That had to be tough on the family.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. I mean, they were little at the time, so it just was up to Lance to wake up and, make sure they were okay or whatever if they cried in the night.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
So Lance had to get up with the kids every day.
Yes.
And that has its own challenges, right?
It does. But it was hard for me because I wanted to be there, but I couldn't be there. I had to go into work, and that's fine because I was home fairly early. But the problem as they got older was that this is not going to be easy to do based off the fact that now here I am waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm getting done with work, and then I'm getting home, and then it's time to be a full-time mom, and there was no time to sleep. So I was getting 4 hours a night, and I remember at the time thinking psh, I could do this. I don't need the same amount of sleep everybody else needs, but meanwhile, I think I did.
You did. Your mother and I thought you had PTSD.
I did.
I mean, from dealing with that schedule. And
it was awful.
We all dealt with it. I mean, it is like every Sunday because of how busy they are. We were blessed, fortunately, for being able to have them come for dinner every Sunday because there was no time to prepare and get ready to do things at that point.
But then like anytime it would get to, 6:30, 6:45, I was like, okay, I'm starting to get crabby. I'm starting to like have, the Sunday scaries everybody gets, except mine were like that on steroids because I knew, okay, my God, now I'm only going to get 5 hours of sleep. Oh my God, it's down to 4. Oh my God, it's 3. And then the more you think about it, the less likely you are to fall asleep. So I'm glad I'm not having to do that anymore.
When do you wake up now?
Just to get the kids ready for school.
No, what time?
Like it's usually about 5:45.
Oh, that's like
which
sleeping
feels like a
in,
luxury.
Man.
Oh, yeah, I'm up at 5 every morning.
Well, I can remember sitting during the show and having been up for hours and hours already, and I would look and it would be like, 5:30 and the show was going, and I would think, oh my God, people are just waking up now, and that's quote unquote early. And I've been up for 3 hours, and I thought, oh, someday I'll wake up at 5:30 and it'll feel good, and it does. I love
You
that.
don't realize, I mean, I've been waking up at 4:20 for 35 years.
Yeah.
Either the Board of Trade or to do this morning show. And my dad's like, just one day it just hit me. I don't want to wake up that early anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think it just hit me in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
I don't want to wake up at 4:20
No.
for the rest of my life, which probably,
No.
who knows how long that's going to be. But it does wear on you. It makes you
Yes.
eat poorly.
Yes.
And it makes you irritable.
So crabby. And I
Yes.
feel like, okay, so it feels, for those of you who don't know what it feels like when you get on a flight and it's like you're jet lagged and everything feels a little hazy and you're exhausted and your body doesn't even feel right. That's how it feels. Like it feels literally like jet lag to wake up that early and then do it day in, day out for months, years, many years.
And part of your issue was you had to drive.
Yeah.
And when I was at the Board of Trade and I lived down here, I would drive to the train and get on at, 5 o'clock and then go right to sleep.
Right.
And then come out after work, get on
Yeah.
the 2:30 train and go right back to sleep. That stuff adds up, even those little naps, man.
I know.
But driving on the Dan Ryan, especially when you're coming home.
And
that's
nothing good
awful.
happens. Nothing good happens after about midnight on the Dan Ryan, just saying.
No.
Like nothing.
It's very dangerous.
Yes,
too.
I would see as I'm driving, I would see people weaving and guys chasing each other, and I'm like, oh God, there's probably gonna be a shot in the night. Who knows? There wasn't, but my car broke down a couple times, and I have to call Lance or Mom and Dad if Lance was out of town or whatever. And oh my God, I'm on the side of the Dan Ryan, and it's 2:30 in the morning.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's like one of those nightmares you wake up
Yeah.
from. Then I dial the phone. I can't get the
Yeah.
tire on. No one's helping me.
But you know what?
And there
There's
was a shooting.
There's a
Yeah.
selfish side to this whole story too, and the selfish side is the people wrapped around who have the joy and the pride when you see them on TV or you see them doing a hurricane on the East Coast. When was that? 2000.
I don't even know what year it was. Hurricane Florence.
Oh, yeah, and to see her sitting on Good Morning America.
Yeah.
That's as a
That was
parent,
cool.
your
You know
You know
pride
what?
is
I
great.
watched that.
Did you?
Yes, I remember somebody telling me, "Hey, this Lake Central woman is."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't really know you guys that well. I mean, I knew Will a little bit, and then I didn't realize that you had gone to Lake Central and that, it's kind of a big deal.
It was
and it
cool.
was a big deal.
It was, yeah. Because I did Good Morning America way back when I was in Miami. So then I was really young. Looking back on it, I'm like, oh my God. No wonder I felt like I was going to pee my pants standing there because I was young. And it was like Diane Sawyer and it was Barbara Walters was on as a guest that day. And I remember thinking like, oh, I better not say the wrong thing. And that's exactly the worst thing to feel like. Because you need to be confident and calm, so and I remember being like all antsy. But then later, as time wore on, I did Good Morning America a bunch of times, and then did CBS Mornings. I can't even count the number of times I did that, and went to New York and
Who
stuff.
was the most impressive person you ever got interviewed or that you interviewed?
Obama, I think.
Yeah.
That was what?
Can't beat a president.
Everybody watched that too. Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it was when he was kind of at the height of his game too.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. It was a
In
big
the
interview.
Rose Garden and stuff, and he hadn't done interviews with the press in quite a while at that point for whatever reason, And so they agreed to give press opportunities to all the major networks to go in, but it was supposed to only be about the new climate report, which had just come out. So that's why they picked meteorologists. I think what was also happening was they wanted to do like a softball thing of like, we're going to send meteorologists in here because they won't ask the tough questions and things like that. They're going to come in and they'll follow what you're supposed to do and ask questions about the weather and climate and things like that. So I thought that's what I was doing, except that was not what the network wanted. This was like their opportunity. So all of a sudden, I'm sitting in these meetings, and they're like, you need to ask about the kidnapped girls. Remember when all the girls got kidnapped by Boko Haram? So you need to ask about that. You need to ask about Secretary Shinseki. Something was going on there. You need to ask about the Keystone Pipeline. And I'm like, oh my God, I have 5 minutes with the president. And now I'm a people pleaser anyway. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm just going to take him off and I'm going to ask him all these questions he doesn't want to answer. I did do it, but.
Was he mad?
No. Because thank God, I think there's an important thing at the beginning of every interview before the camera starts where you have a chance to make a connection with somebody. So I just immediately went in with like the Chicago stuff and and then he was liking me already. So we were good. Then we were off to the races.
I disagree with that.
Do you?
I do entirely. I don't want to talk to people that are coming on.
Oh,
I
at
don't
all?
want to, as Adriana will be like, gosh, you're almost kind of rude to that guy. I'm like, no.
But you have time, Jim. How much time do you have?
Yes, I have time to get into the connection. But I always feel that if I've already made the connection and we've had an interesting conversation about something, and then I try to bring it on the air, then it always falls flat the second time.
Yes, if you try to copy paste.
I want to be
fresh.
And not only that, I used to be on 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. Anything that was coming out of my mouth, I was going to get paid for on the air.
Yep.
I'm not going to have a conversation over here.
Yeah,
and
for
sometimes people want to talk to you, and I'm like, dude, we're not on the air.
Yeah, wait, save it.
Yeah,
I can see that if you're going for like a long time. For a long time. For me, though, when I had to do this, so I had like 5 minutes with President Obama. If he didn't already like me in the beginning, then that was going to be difficult to warm him up and like have everything come out well in those 5 minutes. But I also used to do press junkets for entertainment stuff when I was in New York. And there you got 3 minutes. So if they didn't already like you and already have some kind of rapport with you, you're getting nothing in 3 minutes.
Tom Selleck.
He was an a-hole. Actually.
Hold on a second. Adriana, do you even know who Tom Selleck is? No, that's okay. Don't worry about it. He's very important, but he's an a-hole. That's all we've established.
Look, there's only a handful of people who've actually been like really actually rude, and he was definitely one of them.
Really?
Yes.
Even going into it?
This was even a satellite interview, so you would think he would be on his best behavior for this because it's like being satellited out, whatever. And I just remember like, oh my gosh, you look so great, and I was trying to give him a compliment. What have you done to stay looking so amazing? People want to know that. Lard. I just eat lard all the time. And I'm like, okay, how do you even respond to this? Like,
say, I eat lard too.
Yeah, no, is he kidding? Like, is he kidding or
no,
is it for
you
real?
follow up, hey, do you have Tubbleard dip with that?
I didn't. I was like, oh my actual God. And he looked ticked off because at the time he was promoting that show. What the heck was that show you and Mom watched that he was on?
It was on some
Whatever
sort of
it
cop
was.
show.
The CBS show. I forgot because I never even watched it because I didn't want to at that point. But yeah, so he didn't like the show at the time.
Let me tell you, living with this one, it's like living on the air. I have to tell this story. I was trying to be a father and give her advice. It was about being careful with the boys and everything now that she was in high school. And what did you tell me?
I just think I remember. I don't even think it was about boys.
About
I think you were trying
drugs
to,
or...
No, you were just trying to teach me like all the lessons all the time, which was fine because I learned them. It did sink in, but I think at some point I remember just being like, Dad, just enjoy me. Like you did your job already and it was good. You did a good job.
And you know what? That was at the age of about 16.
Yeah.
And the rest of the period from then till now, I do nothing but enjoy her because she's, honest to God, she's as goofy in real life as she is on the air. She just lets it go.
Yeah, I used to get in trouble for that, though.
But I
the
have a
time.
question I know the answer to already, and that is, with the gift you seem to have, why weather?
Are you listening, Adriana?
Because at the time, okay, so I did an internship with Tom Skilling, and I liked I was always interested in the weather anyway. I just thought it was cool. I love maps. It kind of fits in line with the maps. You're playing with the maps. Okay, fine. But I also just wanted to be on TV, honestly. Like, I don't think that I loved the weather so much that I had to present it. Like some of those people who, you'll run into meteorologists who lived through a tornado or something, and so they want to do the weather. Okay, that was not me. I just liked maps, and I went to another internship, my second internship in Indianapolis. And I guess who I would call my mentor is this guy named Vetus Reed. And he was back in the Weather Center, and I was doing my internship on the weekends. And I had already done a weather one, so I decided, let me do news and see what that was like. I actually hated it. You're just driving around in the truck all the time. You're stopping, you're asking people. It just felt very like, oh, always go, go, go. I didn't love it. So I found myself going back into the Weather Center all the time to talk to Vetus, to see the maps, to play with the computers, to, look at the weather. And then I realized at some point that I just really liked it. But he also told me, wisely, he said, okay, like, I'm gonna let you know how this business works. You are a blonde woman, and at this point, that's what is really popular in the weather. Like, everybody wishes they had a woman because it's cyclical. It goes through different periods of they want all guys or they want all this, and it is part of the game. You just have to know where you are in that cycle. And he was like, "You're gonna move up way faster in TV if you have." A specialty, and you're in weather. I was like, all right, I'll try it. And it really worked. Yeah.
Another Lake Central woman is the weather person for CBS in San Francisco.
Okay.
Zoe Mintz interned here and worked here.
Yeah, Dr. Mintz's daughter.
Dr. Mintz's daughter, but
cool.
she is not what you're talking about. She was like a weather.
See?
I want to say, you know what? I
You're
know
like a
the
weather
family.
geek.
Weather geek is
Yeah,
putting it
that's
nice,
fine.
but she's kind of like a weather weirdo, man.
know.
Everything was all weather all the time. And,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh, the different jet streams and all the different changes in
Yes.
barometer. I
I
very
learned
technical.
it all. I learned it all. I did, and I did love it. Don't get me wrong. But it was because I wanted to be, performing, basically.
So
And it was a good place to
What
do it.
was it that you had in your first job was Parkersburg, West Virginia, and first time away from home, well, no, college too, but you had pictures of people up on your workstation.
Oh, yeah.
What was that for?
Like where I wanted to end up? I don't know.
That was
I
your
just
goal
my
setting.
goals, yeah.
What were they?
I don't even
I mean,
know.
what were your
I think I
goals
hit them
early
all,
on?
though. I honestly hit them all. Because it was like I wanted to be in a top 10 market at some point. I did that. And then I think I wanted to do some network stuff, and I did that. I didn't have anybody specifically that I wanted. I just places I wanted to go or things I wanted to do. And the weird thing was, I think I realized I really was kind of done with the business as it was for me when I did get an offer to go to the network. And I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to take it. And I remember I sat at my high table in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I was crying hysterically. And Lance was like, what is wrong with you? You just got an offer to go to the network. Why are you crying? And I was like, because I don't want to do it. It was kind of like my own end to this thing that I thought I wanted, which I realized I no longer wanted. And so I'll tell people that often, if they want to get into the business and whatever, it's not as easy as it used to be, I don't think, in terms of the quality of life. Like when I first got in, the people who I was watching grow up in TV, those people, they were making so much money, and they were, being treated like kings and queens within the station, and it was a different quality of life than what it is now. Now it is very almost transactional, and I don't think they're always valuing the person on the air, the personality, the skill of the person, more so than they just want to fill the minutes, kind of. And maybe part of that is because now there are so many minutes to fill. The shows are longer. They've also got to fill all the web stuff. They got to do, all that. And it becomes a lot. And so it's more about just getting it all done than getting it done in a way that people even care to watch.
So let's go to that moment. You have been working your way up, and you are well known in the CBS world, and they offer you a network spot, and I'm assuming New York.
Yeah.
And you would have to, move to Long Island and commute on in, probably be longer than you have now.
Yeah.
And then you could do that, and you're sitting there looking at your decisions. And let's relate it to your dad's Limbwalkers things. Is all right. You have the trunk of the tree, and you need to walk out and take some chances.
Mm-hmm.
What was the bigger chance, going to the network or coming back to the region and working in insurance?
Yeah, so that, I know, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, like, you would think that I would have taken the chance because I had always done it before. Meanwhile, they were also offering me less money than I was making in Chicago. And it was the same network. So it would have been a higher quality of living, cost of living. Less money, travel all over the place. Like I would have been at every hurricane, every tornado, every climate change story in the Faroe Islands or wherever it was. And I thought to myself, I don't want to miss everything with the kids at all. I don't want to be in the Faroe Islands. And maybe some people would be cool with that and think it was okay. But I don't want to do that anymore.
So when your dad told me that you were going to come back and, basically join up with Matt and that, I was very surprised because, I knew some of the people up there and, you were kind of, one of the hot shots that were going to go network.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you just left it entirely.
Well, we all got fired. So that's a way to leave it.
Of course, that ended up being a big deal. I mean, that was...
Well, because it was COVID. So what happened was that COVID happened and they lost 50% of their ad revenue in 5 minutes, and they had to cut costs. And so anybody whose, income was over a certain amount, we all got axed. And it was I don't even know, it was 30 people at CBS Chicago, 30 people in New York. That I had friends all over the country who were like, did you get fired too? I'm like, yep. Because if you were over a certain, pay scale kind of deal, then it was over. But for me, I then later had an offer to go back to network. After I was out of TV, I had an offer to go to a different network after that happened. And I didn't want to do it.
You even did something, you didn't do it with them, but you were interviewed in some way, News Nation, I think.
Yeah, I just didn't want to do it anymore because, and it may sound like, oh my God, you got fired, but that in TV is par for the course. Yeah. Everyone has been fired from something in TV, and it's because it's not always how you're doing. It's not a very little of people getting fired in that business is how you're doing or how well people like you. It's literally that they're bringing in a new male anchor, and that male anchor looks like this, and you also look like that, and this person looks like this. And so, you know what I mean? We don't like the way the four of you look together, or we want to move you to nights and you don't want to go to nights, whatever it is. It's never really how well you're doing. Every single friend I have in TV has been fired at some point. Every single one of them.
Let me add to that, though. Now that happens, and you're now unemployed.
Yeah, but not.
But not
Why
because
don't you
were.
Just say that again, Dad.
Well, because I know the story. The story
ahead.
is she had a year and a half left or more on her
19
contract. They had
months.
to honor.
I had a no-cut deal, so they still paid me for almost 2 years. And I still had my insurance. I still got a raise. I still got my raise.
And was able to be
Non-compete?
with her kids.
I mean, I don't even know if I had a non-compete, but I had a no-cut deal, so they had to pay me out. And those were very rare. That's how fast it all happened. They wanted me at that station badly enough that I got a no-cut deal, which nobody was getting. I got a solid 3-year no-cut deal. That wasn't happening anywhere. And then less than, after the COVID thing and all of that, they had to cut, so they did.
So you got paid for 19 months. Is that when you were training for insurance?
I took some time off because, first of all, you're not supposed to work if you're in that, so I didn't. But also, that had always been my backup plan because I knew
I was good for something.
I knew I didn't want to be in TV forever because I loved it and I loved performing. But I also knew that there would come an end to that, whether because I didn't want to wake up at that time of the morning anymore or whatever. It was hard. It was hard to live like that every day. Like, I'm pretty sure I would have had some medical problem if I was still doing it.
Oh, believe me, I understand
Yeah.
that part completely. On the waking up is it just runs its course.
Yeah.
So let's go back a little bit earlier. So you went to college where?
IU.
At Bloomington.
Yeah.
And studied what?
Journalism and meteorology.
So you had them both, and that you were doing your internship at
Yeah.
the time. And then where was the first job?
Parkersburg, West Virginia.
Is that a metro?
I mean, I don't even know.
Is that
I don't even
somebody
know
else?
if
Let me
it's a
tell
metro.
you.
Is that somebody else's DMA?
I'll tell
It
you,
crosses
here's-
over. The people in that area also get Columbus, some of them, and they also get Charleston, Huntington, West Virginia market. So like it goes by market size, 211 at the time, and I don't know if there are more now. I haven't looked at it in forever, but that was market 186.
small enough that they were flexible enough to allow other people do network news or weather that was not qualified to do
Dad
that.
was on the show. Dad that did the weather one day,
Oh, really?
and he proceeded to stand on the weather wall and talk about it being a 20 pump day because that's how because it was windy and that's how many sprays of hairspray he would need on his hair. Yeah, there's a tape of that somewhere. Isn't
Oh
there?
yeah, there is.
You know, I thought that was a gel that you use. That's
Now it's a
spray?
gel.
Yeah,
Oh
right.
man, no, for me it's a gel, a spray, and some other goo. You couldn't blow this with a Force 5 hurricane.
No, he'd be okay, probably.
So your dad did the weather with you in Parkersburg,
yeah.
West Virginia?
Yes.
That's way up in the corner then,
No,
right?
way down along the river.
Okay, so you get Columbus, Ohio, right?
Straight, so like take 77 south out of
Okay.
Columbus, and it's right down
Yeah.
there, just like you just cross the line outside of like Marietta, Ohio, and you're right there. And the reason I picked that one is it was the first offer that I got, and everyone said it will take forever to get a TV job. Like you're never, it takes forever. You got to take the first one you get and work your way up. And I was like, okay. So I got that one, and I was there 5 months. Thank God it was
And then
only
where?
5 months. Then Baltimore. Because Vetus Reed, who I told you, now we're going back a little full circle, Vetus, who was the guy who was doing the weekend weather in Indianapolis, he ended up going and was the chief meteorologist in Baltimore. At Sinclair Broadcast Group was doing this, I don't even know what, it was like basically a new idea they were trying. And they owned 64 stations across the country, and they would have 5 meteorologists in their corporate headquarters in Hunt Valley, Maryland. And there you would satellite the weather out to all these other locations, which now seems like that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that had to be kind of
But at the time, it was
groundbreaking
at
at
the
the
time,
time, yeah.
it was groundbreaking, right? So they had a centralized news thing that they were trying to do, and they had a news like a main network anchor, and then they also had weather people, and so we were all assigned to different cities per night. So like, kind of was a job that I don't think that many people wanted because it was like, is this really going to work? You know, whatever. But when Vetus said, hey, do you want to try this? I thought, yeah, sure. Because I was a baby little news person, and I wanted to get out of Parkersburg.
And so you go Parkersburg, Baltimore, then where?
Yeah, well, then in Baltimore, though, I did the weather for a lot of places. Vegas, Dayton, Tampa, Buffalo, Rochester, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. And we owned stations all over everywhere. And so we were doing the weather for all those places. So I kind of went from being in market 186 to being in market, whatever the biggest one was, which I think might have been Baltimore, was in the 20s. So that's when I got my agent. So I knew if I wanted to move to a bigger market, I needed to get an agent. So I sent my tape out to agents, and then I got my agent, and then she got me from there. I had an offer to go to Miami, New York, or LA, which was like the then market 1, market 2, and market maybe 16.
Yeah.
And you took Miami.
I took Miami.
Why?
Because it was going to be the weekend weather and reporting in both New York and in LA. LA I thought about. It felt like that was my second choice. New York was my last choice at that point because I was going to be reporting, and I knew how cutthroat New York was, and I also knew I had not done ever a package to turn, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go there, and it's going to be not great. I don't think I'm ready for this, actually, and I don't think I was at the time, looking back on it.
Packages are hard, man.
Yeah.
There's a rhythm. There's
And I didn't,
angles, everything.
and it was like I would have been reporting, like general assignment reporting. I don't want to cover death and things like that. So I was like, this is why I want to do the weather. So I went to Miami because it was weather 5 days a week. And then on Mondays, I got to host a football show before Monday Night Football.
Really? Mm-hmm. So you do have the sports bug?
No.
No, okay.
I did
just
the
made it up.
Kinda. No. I did the like lifestyle entertainment part of the show. So
this thought process, you have to imagine living with it. It's ever changing on the minute.
So then you go from Miami to Chicago.
New York.
For how long?
3 years.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
WCBS?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
What years was that?
I was in Miami from like 2004 to 2008, and then I was in New York 2008, 2009, 2010.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and they didn't want me to leave New York, but I went into the guys who were in charge of, at the time, they were in charge of the CBS station in New York that I was working for, but also they had just been put in charge of all the CBS affiliates. So they were kind of like the mothership of news director and GM. And I said, I had just had my daughter, and I wanted to go home because we didn't have anybody there. So I'm like, I've got Lana, and we have no family. I've only been here 2.5 years. I don't even really know anyone, so I kind of wanted to go back home. So I said, if there's ever a job in Chicago, I would really like to go back home. And they were in the process, so it happens, of blowing that show up. And so then, like literally like 3 weeks later, they were like, hey, if you want to go, here it is. Because they didn't want to, at that point, it wasn't just like losing me out of New York. It was losing me out of CBS altogether. So they knew I wanted to have a Monday through Friday. I was doing weekends in New York. So off I went, back home.
Tell us, now you've come back here.
Yeah.
You go through, which we've talked about, the demise of the show and everything else. Tell us your next steps. What are you doing currently? Not that I don't know.
Oh, yeah. So the show dies, basically, because my friend Aaron got let go that day. You know Aaron. A bunch of people. So many. It was like a bloodbath, actually. And then I had offers to go back into TV, but I remember going for an interview. I don't know if I'd feel the same way today, but it was still like also fresh of it taking over your life. And I think also COVID happening at that same time kind of put everything into perspective too, because I realized like, in the news business, it doesn't matter what is safe always. It doesn't matter what's comfortable. It doesn't matter at all what you want. It doesn't matter. Like now that I'm kind of in the corporate world, someone will be like, I need this project. Is next week feel reasonable? And you're like, yeah, I think so. Or maybe I need a little more time. In TV, it's like, I need it yesterday. And what the heck is wrong with you if you didn't finish it? So I think I had a little PTSD, and I just couldn't bring myself to go back into it. Even though I got offers that were way more money than I had ever made before, I still couldn't do it. I sat in the car outside the interview, and I was like, I don't even want to go into this interview. And I did, of course, go in, but I didn't want to. So I realized, yeah, I really don't want to go back. So I tried to do some insurance like Dad did for a hot second. I didn't really like it too much.
No, you didn't.
I don't want to sell people on things necessarily.
So what is your role now?
So now we have created a platform, a tech platform basically, where it's kind of complicated, but basically nobody ever understands their insurance, right? People who have it, they don't know what they have. They don't know the programs that are in it. They don't understand anything that they've got. And I was shocked by that when I first started kind of looking into the business, and I was like, what do you mean you can't tell them things? You can't communicate. You just like tell them at open enrollment and then you leave? Yeah. So we created a tech platform where we can help the brokers/carriers communicate with the people who are on the health plan all throughout the year, so they understand all the stuff they have. And so obviously I'm creating the content of that. So
and performing it.
Well, yeah.
and filming it and all of that,
Yep.
and posting it and distributing it.
It's
and stuff.
distributed through the tech platform.
Okay.
So we're distributing this to the people who are on the health plan. And then if the HR/ brokers are seeing something that's happening in the plan where they have a really big problem, then we adjust the rundown so that everyone's understanding almost in like real time what they need to understand so that they can make the right choices.
How do you like this?
It's fun. It's fun because I still get to do a little bit of the TV stuff, but I also get to have like a regular life now and sleep like a normal person and not be called at 2:00 in the morning on a Saturday because somebody's sick and I have to come in and it doesn't matter what you have to do. You have to go. I didn't love that, because they didn't really care. If you could or if you wanted to, you were expected to.
So plenty of stress,
Yeah.
plenty of waking up early, plenty of kind of aggressiveness at times in the whole news business. So let's go back to Lake Central. Was there somebody there that pushed you this direction? Not really,
I don't
huh?
think so. No, like
You didn't
some
have
people.
like a speech and debate coach or like a
No.
media, what do they call it, AV person or none
No,
of that. It
I
all
didn't.
happened
I
in-
didn't even take any classes, like any kind of like broadcast classes. I don't
Really?
even know that we had them.
So that all happened at college.
It all happened because I just wanted to keep performing. That's it. And I was always a dancer growing up, but I didn't want to do that because I knew that wasn't really like a real, quote unquote, real job. Like I wanted a little bit more for myself, money wise, and all that. So I was like, how can I still be performing? And so that kind of felt like a logical fit for me.
So here we are on the campus. Obviously, Adriana's 21 years old. She'll be graduating here shortly. She wants to get into the business,
Okay.
at a higher level and so forth. What would you tell her?
It depends on what she wants to do, I think. What do you want to do?
Yeah, we'll get her to turn the mic on there.
Right now, it's a tie between radio hosting and then for news anchoring as well.
Okay.
So we're kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I have friends who have done both, obviously, through the years. I think the business has changed a lot, so it's different than it was before. In terms of, I feel like if you have a specialty, right? Like if you're someone that they can bring on. So in other words, how can you set yourself apart from everyone else? Because just being able to present the news is probably not enough anymore to make it really, really make it. On radio, if you have a great personality, I feel like you're in. In news, a great way to do it is really to start with something specific. So, for example, I know people who they went to law school and then they started talking about law, like Megyn Kelly, right? That's how Megyn Kelly ended up being where Megyn Kelly was because she had a niche. And for me, it was weather. So because I did the weather, I moved up very quickly through the ranks. And then once you get to a certain point and certain comfortability on the air, you can kind of do anything. And they see that, and then you kind of launch out from there.
So I'm gonna throw a question you're not gonna believe I'm gonna ask. I do that from time to time.
It sounds kind of...
It's scary.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Megan,
Yeah.
if you were to do a podcast now,
Yep.
what would you make it on?
That's a good question because there's so many. I don't know.
I don't know. You've got a vim and vigor that flies on the air.
I know, but you can't just have a good way of talking about things. You got to have something interesting to talk about. I feel like.
I think I agree. I think it has to line up where
Yeah.
you're really interested in this niche so that it comes off.
Yeah.
And there's a market for the niche.
Yes.
And those two things don't always line
They
up.
do
And
not.
kind of it might take a few, hits at trying to find out what that is.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, the mom and the health and wellness. There's plenty of people doing.
There's a million of those. Right.
There's a million
I
of
don't
them.
know. I would have to be real excited about something and whatever that is. I don't know
Well,
what that would be.
And that is true. Is that we do
know?
all the niche podcasts, like we do the marketing podcast and we do the death podcast with the hospice, and we do the remodeling with Calumet painting, and I realize the same thing. If you start looking at the ones that get a little bit of an area, they all have a niche, and it's so hard to find. Like your dad's niche with this podcast is him.
Yeah.
And the experience that he's gone through. So to kind of sum it up here, when we're talking about, we often talk about like risk assessment and how much risk management. Was there ever a time where you took a big risk?
A big risk. I mean, just getting into the business kind of felt like a risk, honestly. Like I could have gone the easier route. But I guess I don't know that it felt like a risk, and this is going to sound bad, but I just always was so confident in myself that it didn't feel like a risk. But it was probably, actually, looking back on it, like going to New York, going to Miami, probably was a risk, but I was like, I got this.
Well, I think a lot of that is brought about. Sometimes it's pleasing the people around you.
Yeah.
And you always knew your mother and I were supportive of anything
Yeah.
you or Matt did. I
Yeah.
mean, go for it. Do it. Take the shot. You can do it. If you don't, go again.
Yeah, and so we did. I mean, and I think it was all about, for me, I got very caught up in getting the next best thing. And so I was really happy in Miami. I really loved Miami, but New York came calling and I went. And I guess that was a risk. It was a risk to come back home for my career because Chicago is not as big of a market as New York. And honestly,
Yeah.
I didn't like working in Chicago as much as I liked working in New York, even at all.
It wasn't just the hours; it was the whole
No, it was the
thing.
quality. It's going to sound bad. I don't mean to be
well,
dissing
I mean,
anybody, but
sometimes it's just
was-
there's better fits.
yeah, and New York, everybody there was the best of the best, and they held themselves to a very high level, and they stayed there, and that wasn't always the case. Sometimes
In Chicago,
and I don't mean that like, sometimes people are just there to get the paycheck, go home.
we're the second city, my friend.
It wasn't always that way, and I did love everybody in Chicago. Let me put it to you that way. But in terms of the quality, I mean, New York is New York. It's like if you mess up there, you're out.
Megan, do you think you've actually walked on the limb? Have you taken the risks?
Yeah, probably. I guess so.
It just sounds like it was kind of natural. A lot of times people get to, oh my gosh, it's really risky, and they're taking a piece of paper and they're like writing the pluses and the minuses, and there's a big life decision, and to go one way is risk, and then the other way, it just sounds like kind of you flowed into the risk without really ever stopping
I
to
guess
contemplate.
when I stopped and did things like that, it was like, which place should I go? Should I go to New York? Should I go to Miami? Should I go to LA? That was a big decision. And looking back on that one, it could have been really interesting. Where would I have ended up had I gone to LA? I'm sure I would have just stayed in LA. And that news director wanted to make me an anchor instead of weather. So that's another reason. I had just finished doing some extra like graduate work stuff so that I had my AMS seal of approval and all that. And I was like, I don't want to give that up. I just got that stupid thing. Now I'm going to give it up and switch. So I ended up staying in Miami.
I think one of the big things, too, that was fortunate was Megan's husband, Lance, is able to work from home. He's an engineer with Lilly, I believe, or with Lilly Associates.
He's a contractor now, but he's a chemical engineer, so he could move wherever I went. And we made the decision pretty early that we were going to follow my career because he could work anywhere, and my career kind of had the highest, end game, I guess. And I did hit that, but I didn't hit it kind of like at the right time, if that makes any sense. Like in the 80s and 90s, like if I was 10, 20 years older, man, that would have been clutch. But then I think the money went down, you know what I mean? Like, for example, when I was in New York, I had car service to get to the station. We had hair, we had makeup.
Oh, that's so key, the car service.
They only gave it to you if you worked the morning shift. They didn't really care how you got home, but it was nice at 2 o'clock in the morning. So they would send the black car would show up, and I would walk out to the black car, and I've never felt fancier than when I'm like, oh, my car's here. And I would go out to the car, and, they'd drive me in, and they'd do my hair and makeup, and then I would just go say some words and go home. Like, that was pretty nice. But as I was in New York, that changed. So all of a sudden, the car service was gone. They called us in and said, we got to make cuts, and I know it's in your contract, but we need to get rid of the car service. And what can we do to make that up to you? And I was like, okay, well, you can get me NYP plates, which are New York press plates, so you can park anywhere in Manhattan. They have NYP parking places all over the city. That was actually better than car service because then I could go in on the weekends and park wherever I wanted to. So I got my NYP plates, and that was great. And then they gave our main anchor the choice. Do you want to get rid of hair or makeup? So she felt like she could do her own makeup, so we got rid of makeup, and then we all had to do it. So, I mean, it's gone downhill. I got big clothing allowance in Miami, and I got nothing after that because all the perks were kind of like going away as time went on.
She's Megan Glaros. This is her dad's podcast, Will Glaros, and it's called Limbwalkers. You could get it anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify. If you happen to be listening to this at another time on WJOB or watching it on the WJOB network, this is being recorded on September 2nd of 2025. Excellent choice of guests.
I would be remiss if I didn't say one last thing, and that is the greatest support tool next to children and her husband is...
Oh, yeah. Gaga.
Yeah, Gaga.
My mom.
Is that what the kids...
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
they call her Gaga.
She's Gaga. I'm Papu for the
Right.
Greek part of it. Gaga was just some word you came up with,
No,
I
it wasn't
think, or-
me. It was Lana couldn't say Gammy. She was going for Gammy. So
And
Lana
whenever
settled on
she's
Gaga.
in a panic, which when some of the stuff was happening, her biggest supporter...
Oh, yeah, I
and
just call my mom. Poor thing. She's probably been on the phone
probably at least...
700 hours.
Let's
per
talk more
year.
number of times, probably 100,000 times the phone rings.
Because you have to have that person, honestly. I mean, and, I don't know. That was a hard life. And looking back on it, I do not know how I did it now. I don't anymore. Because, those hours were really crazy, and I'm not sure how I did it. And, just kind of the expectation. It's Christmas. You have to work Christmas because we still have a show on Christmas. But I want to see my kids. I don't care. That kind of thing. So, I mean, I made it through it. It's awesome, and I think I'm much better for it. Because the one thing I will learn, and I guess my advice to her as well, is if you go into that business and you become good at communicating, that's a skill that you think everyone has, and most people absolutely 100% do not. They don't know how to communicate effectively. They don't know how to do it in a way that kind of drives it home. Some people are natural communicators, but some have to be trained. And if you're working in that business and learning how to, present something, then everything's just a little presentation, I think.
There you go. Let's end on that. That's Megan Glaros. This is Limbwalkers podcast. Get it wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for coming in.
Sure.
Thank you for
Thank you,
bringing her.
Jimmy, for allowing me to bring her in.
All right. Until next time, we'll see you later.